Hey guys, welcome back to another Ncurses tutorial. Today is going to be part number 12, I think the final tutorial in my Making Snake and Ncurses tutorial series. In today's tutorial we're going to be adding score to the game and displaying that score on the screen. Pretty simple stuff. Might be a little bit of a longer tutorial, even though it's pretty simple just because there's a bunch of stuff we gotta add, but should be a pretty simple, straightforward tutorial. If you guys like this video, consider giving me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, leave those down below. If you want to see these videos right as they come out, subscribe and turn on the all notifications with the little bell. And if you want to support the channel a little bit more, I've got a PayPal donate button down below. Every little bit helps. I couldn't do it without your guys' support. I really appreciate it. Let's just get started. Alright, so to start out with, I've just added some stuff to the snakegame.hpp file. We're going to be editing 4 files here today. Snakegame, a new file I created called scoreboard.hpp, the board.hpp file, and our main.cpp file. So first off, a couple of things I just added to snakegame.hpp. I just added this include of scoreboard.hpp. Yeah, so essentially you're just going to add scoreboard.hpp to the source folder. But yeah, so I've added this include, and then down here I've added a declaration of our scoreboard, which is going to be within our snake game, declaration of our score variable, which is going to hold the score, and then one more thing down here, I added a function or a method get score. This is just going to allow us to get the score at the end of the game, so we can display it in that game over screen. Alright, so now that that's out of the way, I've gone ahead and just created a basic shell for our scoreboard class just to save a little bit of time. You know, pragma once, class scoreboard, an empty constructor, which we're just going to leave empty because we're not ever actually going to use it, or sorry, a default constructor is really what it's called. Then we've got our constructor with some parameters that we're going to implement, an initialize function or method, an update score method, a clear method, and a refresh method. So these are probably the simplest to implement, and we're just going to start with these. So what we're going to do is we're going to, for the clear method, we're just going to use wclear, which takes a window as its only parameter, and that's going to be our, actually I guess to start out we should actually declare our window. So up here before public, we're going to declare a window called scorewin, I guess. You can call it whatever you want, but that seems appropriate to me. So we're going to create our window score win, and then for wclear we're just going to clear our score win. And then down here in the refresh method, we're going to do something similar, wrefresh score win. So those are very simple methods. So those are out of the way. I'm just going to get rid of these to-dos. Okay, for our scoreboard parameter method or constructor, I'm actually going to add one more parameter I forgot to add here. It's just going to be a width, so we know how long to make the scoreboard. Because the concept I'm going for here, make and run. So what I'm looking to do here is I'm going to add the scoreboard just down here at the bottom, right here, and I want it to be the width of the game board. So we're going to pass it a width, and it's going to be the game board width. And then we're going to pass it a y and x, and that y and x is going to be the row below the regular board. So within the constructor, we're just going to, I think it's just, yeah, we're just going to call one method, or we're just going to do one thing. We're going to initialize our score window by calling new win. We're going to pass it a height of 0 because, or sorry, a height of 1, not 0, because it's going to be one line high. If you wanted to add more information down here, you could have more than one line, but can't think of anything else besides score that I would add here. Then we're going to give it the width we were passed as its width, and then the y and the x. So there we go. That's the constructor out of the way. Now in this initialization function, it's going to kind of be close to the board's initialization function or method. I keep saying function, sorry. Where we clear and refresh the score win. So first we'll start with clear, and then we'll run refresh. However, there is going to be one difference here. We're going to add a parameter to initialize, and it's going to be the initial score. So integer or int initial score. And what we're going to do here is in the middle, we're going to do update score, and we're going to pass it that initial score like that. So we technically don't know what this update score is doing yet, but either way, we need to set an initial score for the scoreboard. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to add some text that's just going to show up right here, right here, that says score colon. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to say move w print w for our score win. We're going to move to position 0, 0, so the very beginning, and then we're going to print out score, just like that. All right, cool beans. So now for our update score method, what this is going to do is it's going to print out our score on the farthest right side of the window here. So the way we're going to do that is it's a little bit complicated. It's not too hard. So again, we're going to use a move w, print w, and we're going to print in our score win. The row we're going to use is row 0 because there's only one row. The column we're going to use is, we want to do, I'm going to give it because we have to figure out like a general width, because technically our score could get really, really, really big, but we have to like figure out at some point where we're going to stop, because like if our score is like 100 characters long, obviously that there's not going to be enough room. So I'm going to give it a width of 11 just to start out, because I feel like the score is not going to get that big. That's a huge number. You'd have to be playing for a really long time. Plus, I think this board might be too small for that to even ever happen. But anyways, the way we're going to do that, and the way we're going to get it to basically print over here 11 characters over, is we're going to get the max x of the window, the score win. So we'll do score win max x minus 10, I believe, is how we would do it. Because if you did max x minus 11, you'd actually be getting 12 characters over, just the way the max x works. So, oh wait, sorry, it's underscore max x. My bad. And then for the print statement, what we're going to use is we're actually going to use a funky print w thing. We're going to do $11 and LLU, I believe. So what this is going to do is it's going to make sure that we have we're going to like empty pad an 11 character string. So like we want it to show up with like 100 over here, and then the other 11 or the other leftover characters, however many are left over. So if there's 3 characters here, then there's 8 characters left over. We just want those to be empty. So that's basically what this is saying. It says it's a string with an 11 character, or sorry, a long unsigned integer, which has a width of 11 characters. And then we're going to pass that the score. So this probably looks really complicated. Just trust me, it works. If you want to look up more about printw and what this represents, you can look up the printw documentation, and it'll explain. It's pretty much the same as printf. It uses the same sort of format here. But alright, that's our scoreboard class all implemented. So I'm just going to get rid of these to-dos here because they're all set. We're going to save. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is, so over in Snake Game, so we're going to initialize our scoreboard and our score, or sorry, first we're going to have to add the scoreboard. So when we're adding the scoreboard, all we really have to do is go scoreboard equals scoreboard, but then we have to figure out what we're going to pass it for the width, the y, and the x. The width is simple because we're just going to pass it the width, but for the y and the x, I'm just going to do SB row, SB call for now, and we'll define those here, SB row, SB call. But the row and the column are a little bit more complicated because right now we don't have that value. What we need is we need to figure out basically where the starting point of the board is plus the height of the board that's going to give us SB row, and SB call is just going to be the starting column of the board. So SB call is simple. That's just going to be board.get start column, which is a method that we have not implemented yet, but we're going to implement that right after this. And then SB row is going to be equal to board.get start row plus the height, like that. Again, these haven't been implemented yet. We're about to implement them, but this is the basic idea. So we're going to get the start row of the board, and then add the height, and that's going to give us this row right here. And the column is just going to be the same start column as the board. So we're going to go over to the board and actually implement those functions now, or methods. So in order to get them, what we're going to do is we're going to save the values down here that we pass for the y and x. So we're going to make two, well, first we're going to add two properties here. So start row and start call, so we can save those. And then down here we're just going to set start row equal to, and then we're going to grab this bit right here. So that, oops, there we go. And then start call is equal to, and grab this bit right here. Oops. And then I'm going to replace this with start call and replace that with start row. Okay, so we've done that. And then we're going to add some methods up here to actually get those values. So int get start row, and that's just going to return start row like that. And then int get start call, and that is going to return start call. Alright, so now that that's all implemented, you'll see we go over to Scoreboard, oh sorry, not Scoreboard, Snake Game, and these no longer give us that red squiggly because they exist now. Cool, cool, cool. Alright, so now that we've actually added the scoreboard, our initialize function is going to run, and we want to actually initialize the scoreboard now. So first we want to initialize our score, so we're going to set our score equal to 0, and then we're going to call the initialize function of our scoreboard. Initialize, it's way too many I's in that word. And we're going to pass it score, like that. So what this is going to do is it's going to call our initialize function. It's going to clear where the space where that window is. It's going to add the word score here, and then it's going to print our initial score over here on the right, padded up to 11 digits, basically. Alright, so back to Snake Game here. Get rid of that there because that's all set. Trying to think. I think that's, oh yeah, so one other thing we have to do is during our redraw phase, we also want to make sure we're redrawing our scoreboard. So scoreboard.refresh down here. Alright, so now if we do another make and run, we're probably going to get an error. No error. Cool, cool. So now you'll see it's displaying our score down here, score 0. But currently when we eat the apple, nothing happens. So we have to implement the actual incrementing of the score. So let's go up here to our methods. So in the private section, we had created something called destroy apple. I'm actually going to rename that now to eat apple. So actually, I'll just do it manually so that it's easier to see. We're going to rename that to eat apple, and then down here, again, rename it to eat apple. And then during that eat apple stage, we're going to destroy the apple and also update the score. So updating the score, we'll just set the score equal to plus equal to 100, like that. You could do 10, you could do 1. I think 100 is a good number. It just looks nice. Makes you feel like you're actually doing something. And then we're going to call scoreboard.update score, and then we'll just pass it our score value like that. Okay, so now when we make and run, you'll see that when we go over to the apple and eat it, it updates our score to 100. And then we can go up and eat the next apple, makes it 200, 300, 400. So yeah, you get the idea. So going back to our scoreboard, I can kind of show you guys now what this is actually doing. So I could also just make this, I think I is integer. Let's see if that gives me any errors. Okay, so now you can kind of see, I'm going to pause it with P. You can see instead of being left padded, it's, so like this is the 11th character over, or the 10th character, or whatever it is. So I want it to show up all the way over to the right, but it's showing up in the first position here. So adding that statement basically says left pad it with blank spaces. So again, if we save that and run it again, you'll see it left pads it with blank spaces and then places whatever character is passed to it, or whatever score is passed to it at the furthest right. So that's what this statement here is saying. Okay, so that's the basic implementation of the scoreboard. There's a few other things I want to do, and this is the last tutorial, so I'm just going to throw them in at the end. So what I want to do is I want to be able to, well, first off, our base speed right now is really slow. It's super easy to maneuver because it's waiting a full second before it moves the snake. So I want this default speed to be something faster. I'm thinking a speed of about 300 is good. You can play around with it and figure out something that you like, but 300 in my testing is a pretty good speed. 200 is a little too fast, and 500 is a little too slow, in my opinion. Not only do I want to update it, though, I want it to be possible to update it from the initialization of the game. So we're going to give it a default value, so you don't have to pass one, but I want to give the user the option, or the programmer the option, of changing the speed if they want to. So the way we're going to do that is go into Snake Game and update the constructor here to add an additional parameter. So the additional parameter is, actually just get rid of this to do. I'm just going to call it speed, and I'm going to set it to a default of 300 like I was saying, and we're going to pass that down to the board. So we're just going to pass whatever speed is to the board. Then within our board, we're going to add an additional parameter here for speed. By default, for the default constructor, I'm just going to pass it 300. For the board, we're just going to pass it in speed, and then we're going to pass that down to our constructor in speed. Because the Snake Game itself already has a default, I'm not going to give these ones defaults, because that default should just filter down anyways. So let me just get rid of these to-dos up here. Oops. So now that we've added that to the constructor, we can go down to our construct method and also add the parameter here. I know we have to add it in like 12 different spots, but now we're ready to actually update the speed here. So W timeout is basically setting our speed, and because we have this set timeout function here, I'm actually going to make use of that instead of W timeout. So we're going to do set timeout speed. Alright, so I think that's it on board, and I think that's good for scoreboard and Snake Game. We updated the score. Any more to-dos in here? Sorry, there's a lot for this tutorial, so I just want to make sure I got everything. Alright, so let's just, for now, let's actually make and run this, and int speed. Oh, hold on. First up, I never saved that. So that is in board.hpp. Oh, I accidentally. You don't put int in there. Okay, cool. That should fix it. Is it giving me? Is it mad about that? No. Int speed. Let's see if it. Okay, yeah, it seems to be working. Now you can tell that the snake is moving a lot faster. So it's a little bit more of a challenge to actually not hurt yourself. You could play around with this and make it 200. You could also make it so that every time you get another score, it increases the speed by a bit or something. That's kind of up to you. If you guys want to do that, you could. And you can always make it move faster by actually hitting the next arrow, because it'll. See, I killed myself. Whoops. Not on purpose. Let me clear that. Alright, so the only other thing I want to do now is on game over, I want to actually print out the score that the user got. So what we'll do is say, you scored, and then we'll say, we'll pass game.getScore, and then we'll say points. And now if we make and run that, and then we get a score. Pretty tricky when the apple's right on the edge there. So we'll get the apple again, get another apple, let's get a decent score racked up here. Oh, there we go. And then on exit it says you scored 500 points. Awesome. So, cool. So that's it for the snake game. I hope you guys like this tutorial series. I hope this video wasn't too long and too rushed. I figured, you know, this part is almost extra to the game. You could kind of do a lot of this stuff however you want, but like this exit message could be something completely different if you want. The game speed could be whatever you want. And just to show that adjusting the speed works, I could make it 200 here, and we'll just see how fast that is compared to 300. So now it's moving a good bit faster. It's harder to get the direction change in before you actually hit the spot sometimes, so it's a little bit trickier, and just for fun I'll set it to 100. We'll see if I can even do it on 100. Ooh, yeah, wow, that's fast. See, that was hard. So you guys, I wonder if I think you get what I mean now. By 100 is pretty fast. Alright, so I hope you guys liked this series. I hope you liked this tutorial specifically. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. If you guys want to see more videos like this, consider subscribing and turning on all notifications down below. If you want to help out the channel a little bit more, got a PayPal donate button down there. And again, I really hope you guys like this series. If you have any suggestions for future series or future videos, let me know. Put them on this video, or probably have a community post asking for suggestions in the future. So yeah, hope you guys are having a great day, and can't wait to see you in the next tutorial, whatever it may be.